We say good morning to Kristin DeCinso. I can't help, after talking to Jack Sandhouse about Slug Busher and not doing well, it's been 10 years since your dad, Augie, passed.
We are coming up on the 10-year anniversary, October 11th.
Is that when it is, the 11th?
Yes. And this coming Monday would have been his 81st birthday.
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
I was thinking that because my brother Tom was only a month later in November, and it's hard to believe it's been 10 years. And I think I was in Dallas when I got the call that your dad had passed away. Hard to believe.
It's hard to believe, but it's been 10 years, and there isn't a day that goes by in the past 10 years that someone I either know or don't know has come to me with an Augie story that I hadn't heard. So I feel like he lives on because I just hear so much about him every day.
Can you ever allow yourself to imagine what he would be like right now if he were alive and you're involved in this very intense, spirited campaign for circuit clerk?
Oh, he'd be going crazy. He would absolutely love this stuff. He, liked to call himself the mayor of Fort Gatonia out there on Warson Road. So he would be just absolutely loving this. He'd have his car plastered with signs. He'd probably get pulled over for not being able to see out the window. He would be vocal and involved, and he would love this stuff.
How are the other members of your family doing with this? Most of those consider themselves to be Republicans.
Oh, they're all Republicans. Don't let them fool you. They're all Republicans, and that's okay. I'm still invited to Thanksgiving this year,
good.
Things are going well. They've been unbelievably supportive, knocking on doors for me and talking to their friends and getting yard sign locations. My brother Jim just, sent me a text last night. Hey, I've got 2 more yard sign locations for you. Get these out. So they've been fantastic.
I'm going to have Paul Pankelhofer, if you get a chance, I want to call. Paul had an observation. I'm going to have him ask you this question when he comes in. So if you see him, Jeff, tell him I'm going to need him here in a minute because he observed something I'm going to have you comment about. Why'd you get in the campaign? Let's remind everybody.
I've been involved behind the scenes for about 10 years, and I'm passionate about politics. I'm passionate about this community. And, people had come to me for years saying, you need to think about running. And it just wasn't the right time in my life. I was newly married. I was a new mother. And this time around, I said, I'm going to jump in. This has been a great opportunity. A great opportunity was presented. And I said, why not throw my hat in the ring? This is something I'd really like to do. I think there needs to be some new faces, some fresh blood, some new ideas in Sangamon County. And, Sangamon County is 52% women. It's 52% female. And I feel like we're a little bit underrepresented as far as elected officials go.
Why did you choose circuit clerk's office? There were other offices you could have run for.
There are, but this most closely fits my experience. As the almost 9 years I spent at the Department of Natural Resources, I oversaw an office of about 80 people and a $22 million budget. And I was over all the hunting and fishing licenses, all the boating and snowmobile registrations, ran the motor pool, all the administrative functions, the clearinghouse, the mail room, also did all the marketing, all the education. So this just seemed most closely aligned with my experience. I'm not an auditor. I'm not an attorney. I couldn't run for state's attorney. So this just seemed to line up with my experience the best.
Did you purposely get a job switch from DNR to IDOT so you could run for political office?
No, this has been an ongoing issue or an ongoing question, I should say. And I had interviewed for this job that I'm in now in August of 2010, just a couple months before the last governor's race. And Ann Schneider, who is now the Secretary of Transportation, has been a mentor to me. I met her at DNR. We've gotten to know each other very well over the past 10 years. And when she became secretary at IDOT, she said, I want you to come over. So in November of this past year, November 29th, I believe she was confirmed as the first female secretary of IDOT. And I was there for the confirmation. And she grabbed me and she said, you've got to come over. I need you on my team. So, things move pretty slowly in state government, and this one seemed to move a little quicker. And I was fortunate enough to be able to go over to IDOT, and I've done such exciting things over there. It's such a phenomenal agency. It's so different than what I was doing at DNR.
Are you still working, or have you taken vacation time?
Oh, no. I'm working full time. I'll leave here and go to work.
And then do the campaigning in the evening and on weekends.
Yes.
As it gets closer, will you take time?
Yes, I'll take some time. I'm involved in some very high level issues over there. I was a liaison to the Secretary's office for the NATO summit. Received a secretary's pin for that, which is, I didn't know, but the highest honor at IDOT, as well as a gubernatorial commendation for my work on NATO. I'm also involved in some high-speed rail issues, so it's been a phenomenal opportunity for me.
Let me go back to Bernie Schoenberg's column last Thursday, and you put out a press release, and I understand that and read that, but let's talk about that. What was your reaction when you read that article?
Shock, I think, like everybody else. My days are, I work long days at IDOT, so I was up at 4:30 that morning, and I clicked on my computer to answer the emails from the night before, and I read the story, and I think just like everybody else, I couldn't believe what I was reading. Not just the allegations, the reckless allegations that were being made, but also, the reaction from everybody else. From John Schmidt and Sheriff Neil Williamson, saying they didn't recall anything like what my opponent was talking about. So it was just my jaw was on the floor like everybody else's. And this isn't.
How would you have handled it differently? If you'd have gone to the office and those things, in fact, were happening, how would you have handled it differently?
Well, I have had to go to, I've been a manager for the past 9 years. And he said he went to the sheriff and reported these incidents. No one seems to remember them, or not to the extreme that he was explaining them. But, there's a protocol. This is a very easy thing to do. If there's major corruption in your office, and I'll also point out that he said it took 4 to 5 years to find 3 or 4 individuals that were doing this kind of these kind of illegal activities. And that's what this is. This is official misconduct. This is criminal misconduct. There was, on the way over here, I heard about someone trying to get into the Kane County Courthouse, I believe, with some cocaine. I mean, come on. But this was also brought up at the NAACP forum last night that I attended.
Well, was your opponent there last night?
No, he was not there.
Had he given indication he was going to be there, or do you know that?
I was I was told that he would be there, yes, and he was not there. I believe he was the only local candidate that wasn't there.
That was invited?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And I was sitting next to John Milheiser, and John Schmidt was just a little bit, down the table, and they were both asked, what's going on with this? And I actually submitted a letter to John Milheiser yesterday and asked him to investigate these allegations. I think this is a very serious issue. I don't think this is anything to laugh about or be taken lightly. We're talking about the circuit clerk's office, and why wasn't this investigated at the time? Why are we just hearing about this now? Candace Trees was at the table and I was being checked in. And, I don't understand how these allegations can be made, unsubstantiated. People have no recollection of them. It's a little flabbergasting at this point.
Kristin DeCinso is with us, the Democrat candidate for Sangamon County Circuit Clerk. Paul, you observed something, and I'm going to ask, Kristin, you do a lot of traveling now in the job you have. You're around the city, and you remarked you observed something. Tell me about that.
I was struck. Now, I was all over town yesterday, north, south, east, and west.
Yes.
By the number of Republican yard signs that I saw. And the lone Democrat sign was one of your signs. I saw that numerous times throughout my travels yesterday.
How do you account for that? What's going on?
I come from a family of Republicans, and most of my friends are Republicans, and I've been fortunate. I've been getting a lot of support from the other side of the aisle. As we know, my opponent was in a very public battle over the chairmanship of his own party, and I don't know if it's because of that or because I'm out pounding the pavement, and at every public event I can be at every candidates forum I can attend. So, maybe it's just that people are, I've knocked on their door and they said, I want to sign. Maybe, I don't know. But I think that everybody is ready for it's time. It's time for a change. It's time for a change in this county on a lot of levels, but in this office in particular.
Kristin DeCinso with us. It's AM Springfield, 23 and a half past the hour of 7 o'clock. I'm just going to say, I hear this, okay? There are a lot of Republicans. I don't know. There are Republicans out there.
Yes.
Cross out a lot. There are Republicans out there. Let me talk practical politics with you because you understand this as much as I do. This is a big office.
Yes.
70-some jobs.
66.
66 jobs.
Yes.
You know exactly. Have you talked to some of the employees in the office?
I have talked to some employees in
What's
the
the
office.
concern they're expressing?
I think a big concern is the low pay. There are people in that office that just don't make a lot of money, that are dedicated employees, that are frontline workers working the counter, and the pay is shockingly low. That's a concern of mine as a single mother and someone fortunate to be in a fantastic position and have a great job. I don't know how some of these people make it financially.
But if the budget's not there to give them a raise, what do you do?
Well, as far as that goes, you go to the county board and you see what can be done. I hear a lot of my opponents saying how, he slashed the budget and he slashed headcount, and there are a lot of options there. There are a lot of options to keep the office or to expand hours at the office. Let people come in earlier and stay later. Change up their work schedules. Do a flexible work schedule. That there's no union in that office. So I know that's a bad word in a lot of places, but unionization of that office might help those employees in some way, shape, or form.
Republicans who may want to vote for you are also sometimes, some of them practical and saying, that's 60 jobs that now, quote, we have.
Correct.
Can we trust Kristin DeCinso to go in there as a Democrat who's going to get power from her own local organization to go in there and clean house? And thus, literally, anybody she wants to get rid of, she can get rid of, and those are going to be replaced by Democrats. That's a crass way to look at it, but people are asking that question.
Well, I've been in this situation before. When I went into the Department of Natural Resources in 2003, there was no major house cleaning. In fact, the number of Democrats that were hired at DNR after being there for several years was 25 or 30 in an agency of 1,500. Why would I want to lose the institutional knowledge of that office? That doesn't make any sense to me. Will I come in and bring my own people in as top managers? Of course, that's what you do. But it doesn't make any sense to me to come in and wipe out a workforce because I'm a Democrat and they're Republicans. That's the silliest thing I've ever heard.
How would you improve the office? What would you do different?
I've heard a lot. I've talked to a lot of attorneys. I've visited other circuit clerks' offices across the state, and there's some things we don't have in this circuit clerk's office. We don't have fillable forms for ease of filling out things online. We don't have flexible hours. When I took my tour of the circuit clerk's office a couple months ago, I got there at 8 o'clock on a Monday morning, and there were people lined up down the hallway trying to get in this office to pay their fines. Why don't we open at 8 o'clock? Why don't we stay open later? Why don't we allow employees to work a flexible work schedule? Why don't we have a couple hours open on Saturday? A lot of people like me who are single mothers or single fathers, would like the opportunity to work a flexible work schedule. I hear there are some problems with scanning documents. It's a slow process, and people will show up for a court date, and 2 days later they'll get a notice that they didn't appear in court, and a bench warrant has been issued because they didn't show up. So there are some issues in that office as far as efficiency and modernization that I think I know I have the ability to fix.
Are you enjoying this experience?
I'm having a blast. To get out in the community and meet people from all walks of life has been fantastic. Going out into the county and going to their parades and going to their events and meeting those people has been just phenomenal. Just such a positive experience. Win, lose, or draw, this has been one of the most, outside of giving birth to my son, this has probably been the most positive experience of my life.
How challenging is it to raise money?
Money's tough. That's for sure. It's an election year, so this is a very down ballot race. People are giving money to their presidential candidates. They're giving money to their congressional candidates. So where the circuit clerk's office falls into the grand scheme of things, we're pretty low on the totem pole. But I got into this late. So my first fundraiser was May 16th. And from May 16th to now, we've raised about $33,000. So I'm proud of that. I'm very proud of the money we've raised.
How do you react when you knock on a door and somebody says, nope, I'm with Tony Libri. I know him. He's my guy. I'm going to vote for him. Goodbye.
I haven't had that yet. And I've knocked on a lot of doors. I'll have people say, I don't know you. Can you tell me about yourself? Or they'll say, I'm a Republican. And my response is always, well, has Tony Libri knocked on your door lately? And the answer is always no, he hasn't. And I say, well, you know what? I'll be back. And I have gone back a couple times to people. I make my marks on my walk sheets, and when people just say no, I'm going to try to win them over. I'm out there pounding the pavement. That's what you have to do. Boots on the ground. You have to get in people's faces in a non-confrontational way. And there are people I'm not going to change their minds, but I'm sure going to try. And the reception I've received has been just fantastic.
30 minutes past the hour. As always, thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it. Kristin DeCinso, Democrat candidate for Sangamon County Circuit Clerk.